talks on amending the constitution and reforming imperial succession rules. Speaking in parliament, she calls for cross-party cooperation to revise the imperial house law and advance national debate. President Donald Trump warns Iran it has 10 to 15 days to strike a deal over its nuclear program or face really bad things, as Tehran threatens to retaliate against U.S. bases if attacked amid a major U.S. military buildup in the Middle East. President Trump says talks are progressing, but insists Iran must agree to a meaningful settlement. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is released from police custody after being arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office over claims he sent confidential government documents to Jeffrey Epstein. Detectives from Thames Valley Police questioned him for hours as they investigate allegations he passed the files while serving as a trade envoy. Hamas says any political path for Gaza must begin with a total halt to Israeli aggression and the lifting of the blockade following the first meeting of President Donald Trump's Board of Peace. The group adds that any future arrangement must guarantee Palestinians' rights, including freedom and self-determination. South Korea's former President Yoon Suk-yeol apologizes for the hardship caused by his 2024 martial law decree, one day after being sentenced to life in prison. In a statement released through his lawyer, Yoon says he's deeply sorry for the frustration caused by his actions. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un says the country has moved beyond its worst difficulties as he opens a key party congress in Pyongyang. State media quotes him saying the nation now enters a stage of optimism and confidence after years of hardship. Venezuela's ruling party-led legislature approves a limited amnesty bill that rights groups say does not go far enough to free hundreds of political prisoners. Interim President Delcy Rodriguez releases some detainees while easing oil tensions with Washington. French President Emmanuel Macron clashes with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni after a far-right activist is beaten to death in Lyon. Meloni blames left-wing extremists and calls it a wound for Europe, while Macron urges her to stay in her own lane. Now we start this hour with UK. Unmarked vans were seen arriving at a former Windsor residence linked to ex-Prince Andrew, as police and media maintained a presence outside his current home in Britain's Sandringham. Officers were observed monitoring the area while journalists gathered near the property, fueling speculation over the nature of the activity. Authorities have not confirmed the purpose of this visit or released further details. The developments come amid heightened public and media scrutiny surrounding the Duke, with police remaining tight-lipped about ongoing operations. The scenes have drawn significant attention, but police have offered no clarity on the purpose of the activity, saying there is no immediate update as public and media interest remains high. Now we welcome Mr. Rupinder Sachdev. He's an international affairs expert, joins us live from New Delhi. Thank you very much, Mr. Sachdev, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, looking at this, Mr. Sachdev, how do you think, how is this unfolding for British royal family? Mr. Sachdev. Mr. Sachdev, yes, looking at British royal family, how do you think this former Prince Andrew's arrest is...
I'm not getting your sound.
Mr. Sachdev, yes, looking at British royal family, how do you think this former Prince Andrew's arrest... Unmarked vans were seen arriving at former Windsor residence linked to former Prince Andrew, as police and media maintained a presence outside his current home in Britain's Sandringham. Officers were observed monitoring the area while journalists gathered near the property, fueling speculation over the nature of the activity. Authorities have not confirmed the purpose of this visit or released further details. The developments come amid heightened public and media scrutiny surrounding the Duke, with police remaining tight-lipped about ongoing operations. The scenes have drawn significant attention, but police have offered no clarity on the purpose of this activity, saying there is no immediate update as public and media interests remain high. Unmarked vans were seen arriving at former Windsor residence, linked to former Prince Andrew, as police and media maintained a presence outside of his current home in Britain's Sandringham. Officers were observed monitoring the area while journalists gathered near the property, fueling speculation over the nature of the activity. Authorities have not confirmed the purpose of the visit or released further details. The developments come amid heightened public and media scrutiny surrounding the Duke, with police remaining tight-lipped about ongoing operations. The scenes have drawn significant attention, but police have offered no clarity on the purpose of the activity, saying there is no immediate update as public and media interest remains high. Unmarked vans were seen arriving at former Windsor residence linked to ex-Prince Andrew, as police and media maintained a presence outside of his current home in Britain's Sandringham. Officers were observed monitoring the area while journalists gathered near the property, fueling speculation over the nature of this activity. Authorities have not confirmed the purpose of the visit or released further details. Now we welcome Mr. Rupinder Sachdev. He's an international affairs expert, joins us live from New Delhi. Thank you very much, Mr. Sachdev, for staying with us. Now, looking at this, how will this unfold for British royal family?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We cannot say how this will unfold for the British royal family. Firstly, it depends upon how the case proceeds. But in one sense, there is, by the way, anti-monarchy movement within the UK also, if not anti-monarchy, who says that the monarchy is, a relic of the past. So some of those voices are also growing. But keeping them aside, the royal family so far is keeping and maintaining its dignity and has distanced itself completely. So depending upon what unfolds with regards to Andrew, you see right now the case apparently on which he's being investigated pertains to divulging, let's say, state secrets or information to third parties, right, for personal gain by sharing the reports of the, meetings regarding trade promotion with various officials in various countries, right, which Andrew passed on to Epstein. In fact, it's said that Andrew is the guy who introduced Epstein to the Crown Prince of the UAE, for example, right? And Andrew met the Crown Prince of the UAE at a trade, delegation, UKTI, UK Trade Invest, and then later on he kind of, connected Epstein with him. So that's one bunch of things. Let's see what all is there, and whatever comes out, Andrew will face the music. But in parallel is the whole other issue of sex and exploitation and trafficking underage women, or even otherwise for, sex work. Now, what information is unveiled regarding that, and then if there are any charges pursuant to that, how that moves. Very often what happens, I'm reminded, in the early 1930s or 40s, I think, there was a mafia don in New York, one of the Don families. The police investigators could not get their hand on him for anything, right? Though they knew he was evading taxes, they knew he was doing, criminal businesses, they could not. But one fine day, he parked at a wrong spot, okay? And he was arrested for illegal parking. Once he was taken in, Then the investigators zeroed on, he is in. Now they could go in and build up his case, and they went on to investigate his home, his offices, his computers. Didn't have computers at that time, but his files and all. And that's when they unearthed his criminal business empire. So very often, what happens that if a person is hauled up for one crime, the investigation into that crime then leads you to his other criminal activity. So that would be something which could face Andrew in the coming times. But apart from the royal family, I think this is another message, perhaps to more governments. We will see would and could be taking steps. I mean, within Europe, I mean, there are France is one, of course, where such individuals were named and who it seems were involved in the Epstein affairs, one way or the other. Norway, the the princess of Norway is also under a dark cloud. So UK has taken action, very interesting too. Mandelson is one, the British ambassador to the US, who's been, who's been, let's say, sacked and who's facing maybe some inquiries, not police ones yet. Andrew Hay. So it could be that more and more such figures in other countries could be targeted by police for investigation.
Yes, we will be eyeing that. Thank you very much, Mr. Sachdev, for sharing that insight. Please stay with us. Now looking at EU, the defense ministers of the European Group of Five, France, Germany, Italy, Poland, and the United Kingdom, are gathering today in Krakow, Poland, for an important meeting. The ministers will be joined by Ukraine's Defense Minister Mikhailo Fedorov, the EU's top diplomat Kaja Kallas, and NATO's Deputy Secretary General Radmila Shekerinska. The meeting comes just days before the 4th anniversary of Russia-Ukraine war, as European allies coordinate their next steps in addressing the ongoing conflict. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has emphasized the importance of keeping Europe involved in any future peace talks with Russia and the United States to ensure European positions are represented. Despite ongoing negotiations, there are mounting concerns about the limited progress made in efforts to resolve this conflict. Now we welcome back Mr. Rabinder Sachdev. He's joining us live from New Delhi. Thank you very much, Mr. Sachdev, for staying with us. Now looking at this, to me it seems like West in Europe is sidelined, as they were not in most of discussions, if I remember correctly, between Russia and Ukraine. So what do you think, what are they trying to do with this upcoming meeting?
Yeah, I mean, Europe is being sidelined and Europe realizes that. Europe is a lightweight in the eyes of America, and America also thinks that Europe has no other option but to tag along with the United States. Given all of those factors, Europe is undergoing a moment of introspection also. Right? They do realize that they have underinvested in their national security. For too long, Europe was following a three-pole strategy. For security and, let's say, trade, America; for low-cost energy and resources, Russia; and as the factory and growth market, China. Now, all that entire equation is kind of wobbling. Another thing within Europe is that, the countries on the east flank of Europe, they are more concerned because they feel, and they've lived under either the Warsaw Pact or they were part of the former Soviet Union. The three Baltic republics, Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, they were part of the Soviet Union, and whereas Poland, Hungary, and others were part of the Warsaw Pact, these countries, especially Poland, especially the Baltic countries, are much more, if one were to say, fearful and much more aggressive in trying to ramp up their own security infrastructure and framework within NATO, within Europe. They're trying to pull along. Sure, Germany was lagging, but now Germany is certainly talking big money to invest. So as a result of it, Poland, I think, is calling for, they'd set a target that they'll have 5% of their GDP going into military by the year 2035. Now they are saying that we should, move it forward to the year 2030. By 2030, all of us should be spending 5% of our GDP on military. Though by military it means, not only military, but it also means infrastructure, which can be maybe a dual infrastructure, or which could be an infrastructure which could insulate them in terms of war, etc. So infrastructure also included, but let's say 5% of that. So they're trying to push for that. However, what I find uh, which should be noted is that if these countries start investing so much in their defense, sure, they could. And of course, your investment in defense does bring you returns because your industry grows and jobs grow. But what about the social infrastructures of these in these countries? So that could mean that in down the line these countries may end up investing so much in defense that they neglect the rest of the economy. And then, if by some not straight logic, if we look back, why did the Soviet Union collapse? One big part of the Soviet Union's collapse was trying to race America into the Star Wars. Remember, Reagan had started the Star Wars program, so Russia was racing, investing too much in their defense sector. Sure, other factors were also there. So I think Europe faces that danger also, that if they invest too much in their defense, their other parts of economy and other social infrastructure will take a hit, and that could create, we do not know what kind of popular movements within those countries. But I think Europe has made that choice, that it has to first of all strengthen its military capacity and capability. So that's where they're heading in a very urgent basis.
Yes, we will be eyeing that. Thank you very much, Mr.
My
Sachdev.
pleasure.
Thank you. Now we move on to India. India has officially joined the US-led Pax Silica initiative, a move aimed at fostering AI innovation and adoption globally. At an AI summit in New Delhi, United States Ambassador to India, Ambassador Sergio Gore, emphasized the importance of sharing trusted AI technology, particularly with key partners like India. The initiative is set to drive AI progress through policies designed to shape the future of technology worldwide. Let's in fact listen into the comments made by the leaders in attendance.
Policies that will reinforce US-India tech cooperation will power AI innovation and adoption for years to come. We can share trusted AI technology with the world, and especially with partners like India. And critically, India brings strength. Peace comes through strength. India understands this. India understands strong borders. India understands this part of the world. That strength, that sovereignty, is exactly what Pax Silica amplifies. We choose freedom, we choose partnership, we choose strength. And today, with India's entry into Pax Silica, we choose to win. Thank you all.
The US-India partnership has a critical role to play. Google is proud to serve as a connection point between them, both figuratively and literally. More on this later. We have teams across both countries working seamlessly together on some of our most important initiatives. Building on this, we recently announced the India-America Connect initiative, which will deliver new subsea cable routes to connect the US, India, and multiple locations across the Southern Hemisphere. Combined with our existing cable systems, this initiative will significantly expand the digital trade routes and serve as a literal bridge between our two countries.
Now we welcome Ambassador Mahesh Sachdev. He's a former diplomat, joins us live from New Delhi. Thank you very much, Ambassador, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, looking at this India summit and also Pax Silica, how significant is that India has joined this pact? And also, do you think that the pivot, the technology pivot, is it moving to Asia or yes? What do you think?
Yes, of course, it's moving towards Asia. Asia is crucial to the new hardware and software related issues concerning information technology, artificial intelligence, and other areas of new technologies. Now, here one would like to reply to your question about the significance of this development. I think India was entitled to join earlier, right in the beginning. We have the third largest reservoir of rare earths and critical minerals, which needs to be exploited. So we are quite critical to the supply chains under Silica initiative. Most of them lie buried in monazite sands uh, on Kerala's coast, from where thorium and other critical materials can be extracted. So joining it is a natural thing to happen, and it's only a surprise that India was not initially invited to join. Uh, I think joining it in the context of AI summit ongoing in Delhi right now is also quite topical, where a very large number of United States CEOs involved in artificial intelligence have been present. So it sends the right message that while private to private sector engagement in AI has been taking place between India and the United States and other countries, now United States government has formally invited Indian government to join Pax Silica. I think this also helps to uh, uh, move the supply lines away from China. As you know, China dominates the rare earths and critical mineral scene. 90% of rare earths extracted right now come from China, giving it a monopolistic hand in this critical technology, which are increasingly important inputs to permanent magnets and electronic devices uh, needed for various applications such as electronic vehicles, such as AI chips, and so on. So all told, I think it's it's an important development, and it serves both India and the global silicon community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Sachdev, for sharing that. Please stay with us as we come back to you for our next discussion as well. Now, moving on to Middle East, a proposed nuclear deal between Saudi Arabia and the United States could allow for some form of uranium enrichment within the kingdom, raising concerns over nuclear proliferation. Congressional documents, along with an arms control group's findings, suggest that this deal is part of a broader strategy by the Trump administration to secure 20 nuclear business deals globally, including with Saudi Arabia. The agreement could be worth billions of dollars. This deal aims to advance U.S. national security interests by strengthening its position in the global nuclear market, particularly in areas like enrichment, fuel fabrication, and reprocessing. However, the proposal has drawn scrutiny from non-proliferation experts, as the inclusion of uranium enrichment in the agreement is considered a significant risk. The deal would require safeguards and oversight by the International Atomic Energy Agency to ensure the kingdom's nuclear activities do not contribute to regional instability. The UAE's earlier agreement with the US to build a nuclear power plant without enrichment has been hailed as a model for non-proliferation efforts. Now we welcome back Ambassador Mahis Sachdev. He's a former diplomat. Thank you very much, Ambassador Sachdev, for staying with us. Now, why is Saudi and U.S. pursuing this deal instead of, the non-proliferation deal like the one with U.S. and UAE?
Thank you. It's an important question, particularly in the context of a fairly contradictory policy on this issue that the United States has adopted with regard to Iran. Iran is not expected to have any enrichment of uranium, and President Trump has been very insistent on it, and currently a face-off is on in that area with the U.S. aircraft carriers, armada, and fighter planes and troops deployed. So it looks a bit odd that United States is willing to consider providing Saudi Arabia, which is a natural, how should I put it, uh, counterpoise to Iran in the region with this similar technology without any guardrails such as IAEA safeguards, additional protocols, and so on. I think here is the United States policy split in full view. I think one should add that nuclear enrichment and processing is extremely important if you want to fabricate a nuclear weapon. It's also an issue of relative density of enrichment. For nuclear weapons, about 90% enrichment of uranium is required. Plutonium is another route through processing of the spent fuel that one can make a bomb. But here, the Iranians, having signed NPT, subjected themselves to IAEA safeguard and additional protocols which allow for surprise inspections, have been put in a corner. These measures are regarded as insufficient, while in Saudi Arabia, opposite is being asked for from Congress by Trump administration. I think the reasons could be many. First of all, it may be a ploy to tell Iran that if it insists on nuclear enrichment, then Saudi Arabia would get a similar facility and a nuclear arms race could be in the offing. Secondly, I think there's big money involved in nuclear enrichment process. If you recall that during Second World War, Manhattan Project was the biggest such project in the world at that time, and involved at that time billions of dollars. So one can see how United States would benefit from transfer of similar technology and putting up uranium enrichment plant or spent fuel processing plant. But this is fraught with danger and could require bilateral understanding between the United States and Saudi Arabia, irrespective of leaderships in the two countries, to ensure that Saudis do not misuse this technology to go into the nuclear weapons path. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Sachdev, for joining us today and sharing that insight throughout our news. Now, moving to Olympics, the Ukrainian Paralympic team has announced a boycott of the upcoming Milano Cortina Paralympics opening ceremony scheduled for March 6 in Verona. The decision follows the controversial approval by the International Paralympic Committee to allow Russian and Belarusian athletes to participate with their national flags. Ukrainian officials, including Sports Minister Matvey Bidny, have stated that while Ukrainian athletes will still compete, they will not attend the ceremony in protest. This political clash comes amid ongoing tensions over Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The IPC has yet to respond officially, though talks with Ukraine's Paralympic Committee are still ongoing. That's all we have time for. Keep watching.